talking about the liner shipping models and tram shipping models. So as I discussed with you the liner shipping connectivity index, so onto your screen you would see a database from the World Development Indicators, which I have already discussed with you, wherein you could easily see it into the real time with respect to the World Development Indicators that were in with respect to India we are lying upon, right. So as I said that from the time period to 2015 to 2022, there has been a great jump. That means we have performed much better, and this database, this basically as you could see is, it shows you that how well countries they are connected to the global shipping networks. So as I've already discussed, it depends on to your number of ships, their container carrying capacity, the vessel size, sort of or your number of services, type of companies that have deployed these container ships. So on to all these things, it is being decided upon that what is your liner shipping connectivity index. And as I said that this data set is released by your World Bank, that is the UNCTAD. So this is being basically computed by your UNCTAD, that is your United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and they basically they compute it for all the countries into the world. So through this very, you could say the screen image, you could see into the data set is available for different nations, and similarly you can just go to the World Bank's website and can see for the you could say the connectivity index for various nations, and you should preferably be see the same for China, for Singapore, for US, UK, right. Then you would see the things, you would see that yes, India as a nation, we are emerging, we are also emerging in this connectivity index, and the various things that we have, various parameters otherwise also we discussed upon, that over the time period we have grown, and specifically from the time period of 14 to 22 there being a phenomenal growth, as you could just see it onto your screens. Now, when we are talking about all these liner and the tram shipping models that we have already discussed with respect to your liner conferences, we have already discussed with respect to your tram shipping models. So when as I was saying, there are different types and categories of your these liner shippers or your tram shipping models. So if I talk about liner shipping model, so there are two categorizations. One is your passenger liners, second is your cargo liners, right. So passenger liners are what? They are used to transport your passengers, mail posts or any mails. That means as the name indicates कि अगर आपको जो है पैसेंजर्स को you are engaged into such services जहाँ passengers को transport कर रहे हैं, you are providing those services of carrying the passengers from one point to another point, sending the mails, right, or any post. So then you are utilizing which model? You are going for passenger liners, right. Similarly cargo liners, जैसे नाम indicate कर रहा है इसका कि when there is bulk cargo, when there is big bulk cargo, so then you prefer these sort of your cargo liners, right. Now there being a case कि ये जो आपका you could say these frequency होती है जो liners की, या fleet size है या vessel size है, depending upon the same there are further categorizations. Now the very next point comes is, what is the reason for the growth of liner shipping? The reason, as I said, that the first very factor into the same is your hub and spoke model, and this is because of the rising alliances and due to rising containerization, right. So that being one of the factor for the growth of liner shipping, and you have seen that over the period क्या हुआ, जैसे हमने examples लिए थे दुबई का, राइट, या हमने एग्जाम्पल्स लिए हैं सिंगापुर का. सो वर्ल्ड वाइड वी आर सीइंग कि पोर्ट डेवलपमेंट्स हो रही हैं. Even India में we are seeing for the government is going for the major port developments, right? The government is going for the infrastructural development. So as I said, ki growth of liner shipping, it is not dependent on to one factor, yeah, just few factors. Rather, it is the outcome of your concerted efforts taken by the government over the period of time. Now, why do I say government? Because government is majorly responsible for providing you that ecosystem, for creating that infrastructure. So just think about, if you are not having the good roads, if you are not having the good ports or the airports or the railway connectivity, then how it will be possible for any country to succeed, to lower down onto the infrastructural cost, onto lower down onto the logistical cost, right? It is all possible through the, you could say, the right policies, right policy implications, right? So that helps us out in building and improvising the supply networks, right? And then to the technology. Technology has also a great role to play in. Just think about, if all these processes of maintaining the database, whether talking about with respect to liner shipping models, or let's say whether talking about whatever mode of your transportation, whether the water transportation, road transportation, your railways transportation, so how cumbersome it will be, how difficult it will be to keep a tap onto the same. So through the digitalization, with the appropriate technology, right? So when we say now that there being a confluence of technology, so you are able to, better relies on to the growth prospects. So that are the major reasons for the, you could say, the growth. Now coming to the these things that I was, liner shipping model we were talking about. So yes, the infrastructural development, the IT segment, your hub and spoke model, the better supply and networks, all these factors basically contribute towards the growth of liner shipping models, right? And when we say that, the factors that decide upon that onto which the freight rates for either, let's say, liner shipping model or your tram shipping model, what are the factors that determine what is your freight rate? यानी कि किस बेसिस पे आप ये जो फ्रेट चार्ज करेंगे. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल हमने कहा कि लाइनर कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में दे विल बी हैविंग एन एसोसिएशन, ग्रुप ऑफ एसोसिएशन, जहां पर they come in for a deliberation or a discussion to discuss upon the frequency lines, or which all companies that will be running up, and what will be the pricing. So when talking about the pricing, there are various factors to determine upon कि किस basis पे you'll determine your freight rates. So the first thing is that the weight of the cargo. आपका gross weight tonnage कितना है, dead weight tonnage कितना है, that also is the primary factor to determine the freight rates. And you can also say that the volume of cargo, कितना volume है cargo का, right? That decides upon कि आपके जो charges and जो shipping company आपसे procure करेगी, what will be that amount, right? Similarly, the distance. Everybody knows that longer the distance, lower the prices of your freight. So you just think about you traveling from here to, let's say, Mumbai, and you traveling to some other paths, right? So the greater the journey would be, the lower will be the distance, because the per kilometer cost would get reduced, right, because of various factors. Then further is onto which it is contingent upon. Now another thing could be the fixed charges, because as I said कि operational cost होती है आपकी in terms of salary and wages of your crew members, your officers, but apart from that fixed charges भी होते हैं. जैसे हमने pipelines के example की बात करी थी, है ना, वहाँ हमने कहा कि पाइपलाइंस के केस में हमारी वेरिएबल कॉस्ट जो है बहुत कम होती है, बट अगेन हमारी जो फिक्स कॉस्ट है ऑफ इंस्टॉलिंग दोज पाइपलाइंस इज मच हायर. So that is how it is determined. Shipping lines में भी वैसे ही सिमिलरली आपके फिक्स चार्जेस कितना है, कंपैरेटिवली आपका वेरिएबल कॉस्टिंग कितना पड़ रहा है, आपका कार्गो कितना है, what is the gross weight tonnage of the cargo, dead weight tonnage of the cargo, And what is again the CI factor is always taken care into cost insurance freight, that is means the insurance कितना आपको charges pay off करना पड़ रहा है, because whenever we are going for water transport, otherwise even it is a must to have an insurance, very must. The type of insurance that you go for, that could differ, but it is mandated that one should have the insurance of the cargo, right. Another factors that could be used or that could be instrumental in determining these freight rates could be the mode of transportation. Mode of transportation, you must be wondering ki shipping lines hai to it has to be a vessel, but within a vessel, in the same very vessel we are talking about what type of vessel it should be, right, what sort of your ship it should be. So that ways the mode of transportation also determines the freight rate. Similarly, the time, so based on to the peak time it is, seasonal time है, off time है, या फिर आपका morning है, night time है, depending on to the same, there runs a dynamic pricing model, right. Another factor that could be very you could say important or significant to determine the freight rate is the concentration of the market power. Now when we are saying about the concentration of the market power, that means, as I said, that whether there are, you could say, big sharks having a major control or dominating the market. So that is what the concentration of the market power is there into the you could say dominant players, or otherwise accordingly. So that determines your freight rate. Another factor could be packaging, that as I said कि ट्रांस शिपिंग में comparatively आपका जो packaging होगा it will be very loosely structured, but if I talk about in case of your liner shipping models, a proper sort of your packaging will be done. Now understand one thing कि यहाँ पर हम जो packaging की बात कर रहे हैं, we are talking about in terms of primary, secondary and tertiary packaging, right. It doesn't mean कि आपकी packaging at all trans shipping में होगी नहीं, but that layers would be decided accordingly. And similarly labeling will always be there, no matter you engage a liner shipping model or a trans shipping model, but your labeling will always be there. Similarly, the seasonal impact. Now always see that, just take a very layman example. अगर आप किसी festive season में you are sending a package from India to some place in, let's say, abroad, so the rates will be higher, right. But अगर आप जो है seasonal time period पर नहीं भेज रहे हैं, आप जो है otherwise उसको send out कर रहे हैं local time period में, so आपकी courier charges जो होंगे comparatively कम होंगे, right. So that is what we say the seasonal impact. Next is your pestle analysis. Pestle analysis says the political, as I said, economical, social, technological, environmental and legal framework. So all these frameworks, they decide upon that what will be your freight rate, right, how to determine the freight, right. So ये सारे factors जो हैं, I'm not saying कि all would go on one single run. Obviously there will be many a factor will be some of them having a great weightage as compared to others, but more or less every factor will be having an impact onto the freight, right. So we have talked about the shipping models, we have talked about the liner shipping models, the tram shipping models, right, where in the case of your tram shipping models, as you could see it onto your screens, there is an impact of your demand and supply. So in case of your tram shipping model, since there is no fixed schedule or the route, so it is to be determined onto the basis of your demand and supply only, right. So you accept the cargo, right, as I said, from more than one or two ports, right, and your prices will be determined. This is listed actually onto the stock exchanges similar to your Sensex, Sensex. There is a Baltic exchange जहाँ के जिसके basis पे आपका जो है demand and supply के basis पर आपका जो है वो determine होगा कि किस तरीके से आपके prices होंगे. So हम जो है further on इसके ऊपर और decide upon करेंगे, right? And we'll be talking up in the next segments. So thank you for the day.